The alley smelled of rust and smoke. Neon lights flickered above, casting sharp shadows on the wet metal ground. He walked alone, hands in his coat pockets, unaware or pretending not to be of the figure following close behind. She moved like a shadow, silent, smooth, deadly. Her name was Cirrus. Trained from childhood by the Threx Syndicate, one of the galaxy's most feared assassin guilds, she had never missed a target, not once. And tonight, her mission was simple: kill the human named Jace Rowan. He was a diplomat, they said. Weak, soft, an easy kill, but she knew better. The way he walked, the way he listened to every noise behind him, this human was not just a diplomat. Still, she had a job to do, and she never failed. Her blade was forged from zinthite, a rare metal that could slice through most armor. She dropped from the rooftop and landed silently behind him. One slash was all it would take. She lunged, fast, perfect, straight toward the center of his back. But something happened. Her blade stopped. No, it shattered. Jace didn't turn slowly. He spun and caught her arm mid-strike. His eyes were calm, cold. That was a mistake, he said. Cirrus jumped back, shocked. Her blade was in pieces. Her arm throbbed from the force of the block. That shouldn't have been possible, she hissed. Jace stepped forward. Who sent you? She pulled out a second blade, smaller, hidden. She went for his throat. He caught her wrist again and twisted. She dropped the knife. He kicked it away. Then he pushed her back against the alley wall. I said, who sent you? She spat at his feet. I don't answer to prey, then you're hunting the wrong species, he said. Cirrus had faced soldiers, guards, and trained killers. None had moved like him. None had eyes like his, cold, but not cruel, focused, unshaken. She tried to reach for another weapon, but he pinned her arms. You done? He asked. I haven't started, she snapped. He released her and stepped back, then try again. But this time, aim for something more important. She charged again, aiming for his throat with a clawed hand. He ducked, caught her leg midair, and flipped her over his shoulder. She hit the ground hard, groaning. He stood over her. I don't like killing, but I'll make an exception and do it. She growled. Jace didn't move. He looked down at her. No, I want to know why the Syndicate wants me dead. Her eyes widened. How do you know who I am? I know everything I need to, he said. Your body language, your blade, your stance, Threx style, tight, fast, but to clean. You don't fight to survive. You fight because they made you. Cirrus tried to rise. He placed a boot on her shoulder, not crushing, but enough to keep her down. You know nothing about me, she said. I know you're better than this, he replied. That confused her more than anything. She had failed. Her weapon broke. Her pride shattered, and now this human was sparing her. He stepped back and let her stand. She looked at him, eyes narrowed. Why? Jace tilted his head. Because you didn't run. You fought with pride. And because I don't believe you came here just for the money. Cirrus didn't speak. Her hands trembled. Not from fear, from something deeper. Her guilt had told her humans were weak, liars. But this one had just crushed her without killing her, without hating her. At worst, he understood her. You're not just a diplomat, she said slowly. No, he answered. I used to be something else. Something the Syndicate should remember. What are you now? Someone who gives second chances, but not third, he said. She nodded. Then I won't waste this one. Jace turned and began walking away. We're not done yet. Meet me at Dock 17 at sunrise. Bring your real blade and your truth. Cirrus watched him disappear into the light. Her pride was bruised, her blade destroyed. But something else inside her had cracked too, not in anger, in awakening. This wasn't the end of her mission. It was the beginning of something she never expected. The stars above Dock 17 were fading when Cirrus arrived. Her steps were slow, but firm. She no longer wore her assassin gear. Instead, she had wrapped herself in plain dark fabric, light enough for movement, quiet enough for silence. On her hip, a new blade rested, not hidden, not poisoned, just sharp and honest. She didn't know why she had come. The Syndicate would call her a traitor. They would send others, maybe her old rivals, maybe her teacher. But she didn't care. Something inside her had shifted when Jace spared her. Something heavy had fallen away. Jace was already there, standing by the edge of the dock, watching the sunrise over the metal skyline. He didn't speak at first. He just nodded once when he saw her. No smile, No threats, just quiet understanding. You came, he said. You asked, she replied. He turned to face her. Did they send another assassin after me? Yes, two. I left them sleeping, she said. Sleeping? She nodded. I didn't kill them. Just made sure they won't wake up until tonight. Jace raised an eyebrow. That's a different kind of mercy for someone like you. I'm not the same as yesterday, she said. He studied her carefully. No, you're not. They walked along the dock, side by side. It was quiet except for the humming of far-off ships and the wind between the broken cranes. Sirius looked at him and asked the question that had haunted her all night. Why didn't you kill me? Jace paused. Because I saw something in your eyes. Not rage, not bloodlust. Confusion. You weren't sure if you were doing the right thing. You just followed orders. Sirius said nothing. He was right. Her blade had always answered questions for her, but now it was useless. Now she had to think. The Syndicate lied, she whispered. They told us humans were weak, soft, easy to break, and yet you're the one who broke, Jace said calmly. Her eyes narrowed. I didn't come here for insults. He stopped walking. I'm not insulting you. I'm reminding you. You can still choose who you are. You can leave them. They don't let anyone leave, she said. They'll try to stop you, but they can't if you're stronger than them, he said. Sirius clenched her fists. I was trained to kill. That's all I know. No. You were trained to survive. There's a difference, Jace said. She stared at him. For the first time, she noticed the faint scars along his hands. Not from a blade, from long fights, from losses. He wasn't just strong. He had survived something worse than she could guess. What were you before? She asked. I was a hunter, not by choice, like you, he answered. Sirius lowered her gaze. What stopped you? A girl, he said. She asked me if I liked who I had become. I didn't. So I changed. Is that what you want from me? She asked. No. I want you to decide for yourself. If you still want to kill me, go ahead. But not for the Syndicate. Not for their lies. Only if it's your choice. He stepped back and spread his arms. No tricks. No defenses. If your blade still wants blood, take it. Sirius reached for her weapon. Her hand hovered above the hilt. Her fingers curled around it. She could end it now. One motion. One strike. But she didn't move. She let out a breath and stepped away. I don't want to kill you, she said. Jace nodded. Then you've already won the fight that matters most. She looked at the rising sun. It lit the dock in soft golden light. For once, it didn't feel cold. What now? She asked. Now you walk forward. One step at a time, Jace said. They stood in silence for a while. To former killers, to wounded hearts, one shared understanding. Behind them, the Syndicate's shadow still loomed. But ahead, there was a path neither of them had walked before, and for the first time, Sirius didn't fear where it might lead. The sun had barely risen, but Sirius had already made up her mind. She wasn't going back to the Syndicate, not after what had happened last night, not after Jace's words. She had always believed her blade defied her, but now she was starting to doubt that. She had left the dock before the sun fully rose. No turning back. There was nothing left for her in the shadows of the Syndicate's control. Her new path would be uncertain, but at least it was hers to choose. Her eyes wandered to the horizon as she walked. Her footsteps soft but steady. Jace had watched her leave. He hadn't followed. He had just nodded. You'll find what you need, he had said, and for the first time, she believed him. He didn't push. He didn't demand. He simply gave her space to decide. It wasn't until she reached the old hangar that she realized what she needed. She had left her old life behind, but she couldn't forget what it had taught her. She wasn't weak. She wasn't a helpless child. She had survived, fought, and won battles. Now, she had to use that strength for something more than bloodshed. The hangar was old, its walls battered by time, and its doors rusted shut. But inside, she knew there was something waiting. She had worked here once, long before the Syndicate had taken her in. It had been a simple life then. No blades, no blood, just mechanics and machines. She pulled open the door and walked inside. The air was thick with dust and the smell of old fuel. She ran her fingers over the old machine she had once repaired, remembering the sound of engines roaring to life under her hands. It felt good. It felt like home. There, in the corner, was the old ship she had helped restore. It had been meant for a mission she never took, a reminder of a simpler time. She ran her hand across its smooth, metal surface and smiled softly. She would fix it. It would be her escape, her new life. Hours passed as Cirrus worked. The hum of the ship's systems coming to life under her touch. She wasn't just fixing the ship. She was fixing herself piece by piece. She was building a future where she was free from the syndicate's control. A future where she could choose her battles and fight for a cause she believed in. But no matter how much she worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. She paused and looked around the hangar. No one was there, but the feeling lingered. Something was coming. Someone was coming. She didn't know who, but she was ready. As the ship roared to life, Cirrus climbed into the cockpit. The controls were familiar, almost comforting. She smiled. It was just her, the ship, and the endless stars beyond. But before she could lift off, a voice came over the comm. "Cirrus, you've made a choice. Now you have to live with it," the voice said, cold and familiar. It was Core, her former mentor in the syndicate. He had taught her everything. He had made her what she was. But now, he sounded different, more menacing. She didn't flinch. "I'm done with you, Core. I'm done with the syndicate. You can't control me anymore. Is that what you think?" Core's voice was laced with amusement. "You think you're free. You think you can just walk away. You'll always be ours. You'll always be our weapon." Cirrus's grip tightened on the controls. "Not anymore. One choose my own path now." The comms went silent. For a moment, Cirrus thought she had won. But then, a sharp noise broke through the silence, a low hum, followed by a loud crash. A ship, a syndicate ship. It came out of the shadows and hovered over the hangar. She didn't need to look twice to know it was armed. Cirrus's heart raced. The choice she had made wasn't as easy as she had thought. The syndicate would come for her. They would try to take her back. But she wouldn't go without a fight. She couldn't. The ship's doors opened, and Core's cold voice came through again. "You can't escape us, Cirrus. You're ours." Always Cirrus reached for the controls. But this time, it wasn't to escape. This time, she was ready to fight. She slammed the throttle forward, the ship roaring into the air. The syndicate ship pursued. But Cirrus was faster. She pulled into a sharp turn, dodging the blasts that followed her. She was no longer just a tool of the syndicate. She was a free woman, a warrior, and she wasn't going to let anyone take that away from her. Ahead, the stars opened up. The vastness of space stretched out before her. The future was uncertain. But for the first time, Cirrus didn't care. She was free. She was alive, and nothing would stop her from charting her own course. The syndicate ship was still tailing her, but Cirrus wasn't afraid. Not anymore. She was learning how to fight back, how to reclaim control of her life. As the syndicate ship fired its weapons, she juked and weaved, flying through the asteroid. Filled with a practiced hand, she knew the risks, but she also knew this was her only chance to escape. Her hands gripped the controls firmly, and she let the stars guide her forward. Behind her, the enemy ship was relentless. Core's voice crackled through the comm, but she didn't respond. She knew he would keep trying to pull her back into the life she had left behind, but she wasn't going back. "Not now. You think you can outrun us, Cirrus?" Core's voice sounded amused but cold. "We'll hunt you to the ends of the galaxy if we have to. You can't escape what you are. You're one of us. And you always will be." Her ship shuddered as a blast grazed the shields. Cirrus tightened her grip on the controls. "We'll see about that," she muttered to herself. She was done running. She was done being a pawn. Ahead, the asteroid field was thickening. The rocks were moving in every direction, and the ship's sensors couldn't keep up with the chaos. She wasn't sure if she could make it through, but she wasn't going to let fear decide her fate. Cirrus pushed the throttle all the way forward. The ship surged forward, dodging and weaving between the floating rocks. The syndicate ship was still behind her, gaining on her slowly, but she could feel her moment approaching. She saw the opening ahead, a narrow path between the massive asteroids. She couldn't afford to hesitate now. It was all or nothing. With a deep breath, Cirrus angled her ship toward the gap. The asteroid field closed in faster. The rocks rushing by in a blur. The ship screamed through the narrow passage, the metal scraping against the rocks as she barely avoided a collision. Her heart raced, but her focus was absolute. The syndicate ship was too large to follow, and Cirrus could hear Core's frustrated yell through the comm. "You can't outrun us forever." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Instead, she pushed forward, putting distance between herself and the syndicate ship. The rocks grew fewer, and the endless blackness of space opened before her. Cirrus knew she wasn't safe yet. She had outrun Kor's ship, but she had no destination, no allies. She was alone for the first time. The weight of that truth settled over her. She had left everything behind. Her past, the syndicate, her old life. But now, she was free, and that freedom had a price. As she flew through space, Cirrus thought about the choice she had made. She had chosen freedom, but that didn't mean it was easy. The life she was leaving behind was full of danger, full of violence. The syndicate wasn't going to let her go, not without a fight. The comms crackled again, this time with a new voice. It wasn't Kor. It wasn't anyone from her past. Cirrus, you're far from the syndicate's reach, but you're not alone. If you need help, we can offer it. Her pulse quickened. Who is this? A friend, the voice said. We've been watching. We know what you're running from. We can protect you, but we need you to trust us. Cirrus's eyes narrowed. I'm not interested in anyone's protection. We're not here to control you. We're here to offer a chance for something better, a chance for redemption. Her heart raced, but she stayed silent. Who were these people? Could they be trusted? They didn't sound like the syndicate. They didn't sound like the kind of people who would control her, but could she really trust them? After everything that had happened, why should I trust you? She asked finally. You don't have to trust us yet, the voice said, but we can help you. You have a skill that can make a difference. You know how to fight. You know how to survive. We need people like you to stop the syndicate from destroying everything. Cirrus didn't respond. Immediately, she thought about the voice's words. For the first time, she didn't feel entirely alone. Maybe this was the chance she needed. Maybe these people could help her rebuild. Help her fight back against the syndicate and their lies. I'll think about it, Cirrus said, but no promises. Will be waiting, the voice said. And then the comms fell silent. For a moment, Cirrus sat in silence, staring at the blackness of space ahead. The stars glittered in the distance, cold and untouchable. She didn't know what the future held. She didn't know if she could trust these new people. But one thing was certain: she wasn't going back to the life she left behind. She was going to make her own path now, no matter what it took. The days that followed felt strange to Cirrus. For the first time, she wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't killing. The ship she flew was silent. Her only company, the hum of its engines and the occasional flash of distant stars. But the voice on the comms had left her with something to think about. A chance. A real one. She didn't know if she could trust the mysterious group that had reached out to her. But she also knew the syndicate wouldn't stop chasing her. She couldn't hide forever. They would find her. They always did. So, with that thought in mind, she set a course to the rendezvous point they had given her. As she approached the coordinates, her hands tightened around the controls. The feeling of being watched never left her. It was like she could almost feel the syndicate's eyes on her, even though she was light years away from their reach. But there was no turning back now. She had made her choice. The ship came into view, a small, unmarked vessel that didn't stand out against the stars. It didn't look like much, but it wasn't meant to. She guided her ship alongside it and docked carefully. As the airlock opened, a woman in a dark uniform greeted her. No weapons, no threats, just a calm smile. Welcome aboard, the woman said. We've been expecting you. I'm Captain Lyra. We don't have much, but we have a lot of good people here. People who want to stop the syndicate. Cirrus didn't say anything at first. She just followed Lyra through the narrow hallways of the ship, her footsteps echoing in the quiet. She was still unsure if this was a trap or if they were truly offering something better. You were right, Lyra said as they walked. We know who you are. We know what the syndicate did to you. But we also know what you're capable of. You have the skills we need to fight back. Cirrus stopped walking for a moment. I don't know if I'm the right person for this. I've been a killer for so long. I don't know how to be anything else. Lyra turned to face her, her eyes kind. You're not a killer, Cirrus. You were forced to become one. But you're not that person anymore. You don't have to be. Cirrus felt the weight of Lyra's words sink in. For so long, she had believed her blade was all she had, all she was. But now, standing here, she realized something had changed. Maybe she could be something different, something better. They continued through the ship until they reached a control room. The walls were lined with maps and schematics, and the crew was busy at their stations. But all eyes turned to Cirrus as she entered. She wasn't just an assassin anymore. She was an ally. Lyra motioned to a seat at the table. These are the people who want to end the syndicate's reign. We've been fighting them for years. But we need someone with your skills to help us lead the charge. You don't have to do this alone." Cirrus took a seat, her mind still racing. This wasn't the life she had known. It wasn't the life she had been trained for. But for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel like a weapon. She felt like a person. "I'll do it," Cirrus said, her voice steady. "But I need to know one thing. How do we stop them?" Lyra smiled. "We hit them where it hurts. We take their power away. We take their secrets. We tear down everything they've built and build something better in its place. But we can't do it without you." Cirrus nodded slowly. "Then let's get to work over the next few days." Cirrus trained with the crew, learning new tactics, learning how to fight for something that mattered. She worked with engineers to modify her ship, preparing it for the battles to come. And with every passing day, she felt something grow inside her hope. Hope for a future where she wasn't just surviving, a future where she was fighting for. A cause she believed in. When the mission was ready, the crew gathered in the control room. Lyra looked at Cirrus and nodded. "You're ready. Let's take down the Syndicate." Cirrus stood tall, her hand resting on the hilt of her new blade. She wasn't running anymore. She wasn't hiding, and she wasn't a killer. She was a warrior fighting for a future free of the Syndicate's chains. "Let's do this," Cirrus said. "For freedom, for the people we've lost, and for the ones we still can save with that." The ship roared to life, and they set off toward the unknown, ready to face the Syndicate head-on. Cirrus wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She had a purpose now, and nothing would stop her from seeing it through. The night was quiet, but the air was thick with tension. Cirrus sat at the controls of the ship, her fingers grazing the keys as she stared at the screen in front of her. The map was dotted with destinations, but none of them felt like a real home. None of them felt safe. Not yet. The mission was clear: take down the Syndicate, expose their secrets, and weaken their hold on the galaxy. But with every passing hour, Cirrus felt the weight of the task growing heavier. She had fought battles before, but this was different. This time, it wasn't just her life on the line. This time, it was everyone's. She could feel the eyes of the crew on her. They believed in her. They trusted her. They saw something in her that she hadn't seen in herself for a long time. But what if she failed them? What if she wasn't enough? "Cirrus, we're ready." Lyra's voice crackled over the comms. "We've gathered intel. The Syndicate's main base is just ahead. This is it. The final push." Cirrus took a deep breath and stood, her eyes never leaving the screen. She knew what needed to be done. She had come too far to turn back now. Her past didn't define her anymore. This fight wasn't about vengeance. It was about freedom. "Understood," she said, her voice calm but firm. "I'm on my way." The crew had already prepped their weapons. They were ready. Cirrus could feel their determination in the air, but it didn't ease the knot in her stomach. The Syndicate was ruthless. They had spies everywhere, but Cirrus wasn't alone. She had a team now. She had allies. As the ship approached the Syndicate's base, Cirrus stood at the helm, her hand on the control panel. She could see the massive structure rising ahead, a fortress that had stood for years, a symbol of the Syndicate's power. But it was just a building that could be torn down. She wasn't afraid of it. "Everyone ready?" she asked, glancing over her shoulder at the crew. One by one, they nodded. Lyra, Jax, Kale. Each of them had their own reasons for joining this fight. Some wanted revenge. Some wanted justice. Some just wanted to see the Syndicate fall. But they were united. In this, they would stand together, no matter what. "We're in position," Lyra said. "Time to make our move. The Syndicate won't know what hit them." Cirrus nodded. "Let's do it." The ship descended into the atmosphere, the engines roaring. As it cut through the clouds, below, the Syndicate's base loomed. The fortress was massive, built into the side of a mountain, with turrets and heavy defenses. But the crew had already planned for this. They had a way in. "Deploying now," Kale said. As he activated the ship's cloaking system, the ship became invisible, blending into the surroundings. They were undetected for now. Cirrus felt a wave of relief wash over her. This was the moment they had been waiting for. But that relief was short-lived. She knew the hardest part was yet to come. The ship landed quietly on a hidden plateau near the base. The crew disembarked, their weapons drawn, their movements synchronized. They moved like shadows, slipping through the dense forest surrounding the base. Cirrus led them, her instincts guiding her every step. They had to get inside the base undetected. The Syndicate would be watching. They always were. As they neared the entrance, Cirrus could hear the faint hum of machinery. The base was alive, full of activity. She signaled to the team to hold their position. They needed to wait for the right moment to strike. "I've got eyes on the entrance," Jax whispered, his voice barely audible. "One guard, but he's armed. We can't go in through there without being noticed." Cirrus nodded. She had expected this. She had anticipated every possible obstacle. She wasn't going to let a single guard stop them. "Kale, take him out," Cirrus ordered. Quick and quiet, Kale moved like a ghost, his steps soundless on the ground. He crept up behind the guard and, with a swift motion, knocked him out cold. The guard never saw it coming. "Clear," Kale whispered, and the team moved in. The door was locked, but not for long. Jax had already hacked the security system, and within seconds, the door opened silently. They slipped inside, weapons ready, hearts pounding. The hallway inside was dimly lit, the walls lined with cold steel. It was quiet to quiet. Cirrus knew this wasn't just a base. It was a trap. "They know we're here," she said under her breath. "Get ready for anything." The team spread out, each of them taking a different path through the maze of hallways. Cirrus led the way, her hand on her blade, her eyes scanning every corner. They couldn't afford to make a mistake now. Ahead, a door opened. A figure stepped out. It was Core. Well, Cirrus," he said, his voice smooth but cold. "You think you can just walk in here and destroy everything we built?" Cirrus didn't answer. She took a step forward, her grip tightening on her weapon. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. Core's cold eyes locked on Osiris, a smile playing at the corner of his lips. "Did you really think you could escape this life? Cirrus, you're nothing without the Syndicate. You've always been one of us, and you always will be." Cirrus stood her ground, her hand resting on the hilt of her blade. "I'm not one of you, Core. Not anymore. And you're wrong about me. I don't need the Syndicate to survive. You'll always be a killer." Core hissed. "You'll never be anything more than a tool, and you can't outrun who you are." Cirrus stepped forward, her voice steady. "I've already outrun you. I've outrun everything the Syndicate has tried to make me believe. I'm not their weapon anymore. You're right, I'm a killer, but I kill for something worth it. I kill to protect the people who need it, not for the Syndicate's lies." Core's eyes narrowed, his hand twitching toward his weapon. "You're making a mistake. You think you can change everything? You think you can destroy everything we built? I'm not destroying it, Core," Cirrus said, her voice unwavering. "I'm taking it down, one piece at a time, starting with you." With a swift motion, Core drew his weapon, a long, sleek blade that gleamed in the dim light of the corridor, but Cirrus was faster. She lunged forward, her blade clashing with his in a flash of steel. The sound of their blades ringing in the narrow hallway echoed through the base. For a moment, they were locked in combat, blades clashing, sparks flying as each strike met resistance. Core was strong, but Cirrus was fueled by something more now: purpose. She wasn't fighting for survival anymore. She wasn't fighting for the Syndicate's approval. She was fighting for her future, for the freedom she had chosen. Cirrus pushed Core back, her strength overwhelming him. He stumbled, his feet slipping on the cold floor, and before he could recover, Cirrus was upon him. She pressed her blade to his throat, her chest heaving with the force of her breaths. Core's eyes widened in shock, his weapon dangling uselessly in his hand. You can't do this. You're one of us, Cirrus." "No," she said firmly. "I'm not." With one final, decisive motion, Cirrus disarmed him, sending his blade skittering across the floor. She watched as Core fell to his knees, his face twisted with disbelief. She could see the fear in his eyes now, fear not of death, but of losing control, fear of being nothing. "You're nothing without the Syndicate," he sneered. "I'm everything without it," Cirrus replied quietly. She stood tall, her blade at her side. "And I'm not going to let people like you decide who I am anymore." Core didn't respond. He simply lowered his head, his shoulders slumped. The fight had left him, and for the first time, Cirrus felt no satisfaction in his defeat. She didn't need to prove anything anymore. The Syndicate had taken enough from her, and now it was time to take back control. Behind her, the rest of the crew had gathered, watching silently as Cirrus stood over Core. Lyra stepped forward, her expression proud. "It's over, Cirrus. You've done it. The Syndicate's hold on us is broken." Cirrus didn't respond immediately. She just looked down at Core, her gaze steady. "It's over, but it's just the beginning for all of us." The crew gathered around her, nodding in agreement. They had fought together, and now they would rebuild together. The syndicate was no more. The war was over. But a new chapter had begun. As they made their way out of the base, Cirrus looked back at the crumbling structure. It had been a symbol of oppression, of lies, and of the people she had once been forced to obey. But now, it was just a hollow shell, a relic of the past. Where do we go from here? Jax asked. Breaking the silence, Cirrus turned to face him, her expression calm but determined. We keep going forward. We help those who need it. We rebuild what the syndicate tore down. We make sure no one else has to live in fear like we did. As the crew boarded their ships and set course for their new future, Cirrus couldn't help but feel a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. She was free. And for the first time in a long time, Cirrus smiled.